The original Scream is one of my absolute favorite horror films. The way it plays on all the tropes of the genre is simply as close to perfect as you can get. With the exception of the third film, I have really enjoyed all of the films in the franchise, and last year's Scream was probably my favorite of the sequels. Well, Scream V has now hit theaters and they have topped themselves yet again. I now believe, for many reasons, that this is easily the best in the franchise since the original film. If you're a fan of the franchise or have at least seen all of the films, here's why I believe this one is a must-see. Directly following the previous installment, Scream V picks up with the 4 remaining survivors after they have moved away from Woodsboro to New York in order to start fresh. On Halloween night though, many people dressed in various masks roam the streets, including an endless number of Ghostface masks, making it very scary for these characters. Seeing as a new series of murders have been taking place, they all band together once again with a couple of new faces to either take down or hide from the killers. Tension is at an all-time high this time around because guns and beheadings are just a few things in addition to this killer stabbing people. The aggression has been dialed up and it almost feels personal at times. I enjoyed the new cast in the last film and they're just as enjoyable this time around, but the real star of this film is the writing team of James Vanderbilt and Guy Bissek. Their resumes aren't all that impressive when it comes to blockbusters, but they just seem to really understand this franchise. Without giving anything away, Scream V gives fans more than I'm sure they're expecting here. The opening sequence is very clever and I was grinning from ear to ear. On top of that, the final act of this film will likely please every fan of this franchise. It's very well crafted and full of the best kind of nostalgia. Overall, it's hard to dive into any details because of the nature of this particular installment, but I will just simply say that Scream V has some of the best set pieces of the franchise, some of the most inventive kills, it's more visceral than the rest, and the finale is simply fantastic. Bravo to everyone involved on this one. I will say that my biggest complaint, without giving context, is that too many people survive certain things. It's slightly unbelievable at times even for this franchise, but I enjoyed this one so much that I don't even want to complain about anything else. You can nitpick all of these movies, but this one almost knew that and embraced the nitpicks of the entire franchise in a way. I honestly don't know why I enjoyed it this much, but I'm very close to saying that I loved it. Scream V is now playing in theaters and obviously, I recommend it to horror fans, especially Scream fans. So with the latest installment of the Scream franchise, we finally have Ghostface who follows in Jason Voorhees' footsteps as he terrorizes New York City by getting revenge on the survivors of the previous movie, that being Scream 2022. Set in New York City, 4 survivors of the Ghostface murders leave Woodsboro behind for a fresh start. However, they soon find themselves in a fight for their lives when a killer embarks on a bloody rampage. And that was Scream V, which in my opinion may be the best Scream film since probably the original. I'm not kidding when I said that Jenna Ortega and the new Scream gang are better here than in the previous installment, because even though I didn't feel like they were fully integrated into the Scream cast yet, they were not that bad, they were in my opinion not as great as the original cast. Here though they have shown that they can carry on this series even without Sydney, Gale or even Wes. Jenna truly developed her a game between Scream 5 and Scream 6 primarily because she worked on Wednesday, the Addams Family series by Tim Burton, and she proves she can take on horror roles very well. And of course who can forget that Roger L. Jackson has done the voice of Ghostface for a little over 25 years now, and he's definitely the only person who can do the voice so well, and to think he also voiced an evil chimp with a large helmet on his head from PPG. As for the twist, which I will not spoil, is actually a pretty neat and perhaps the biggest reveal since Scream 4's ending, and it shows that in a place like New York City you can get lost and bump into the wrong person. I surely had a good time, and the kills are of course more creative this time around and have an increasing amount of gore as these movies go on. I should mention that I recently saw the new Dead Meat kill count on Scream 5 and I was pretty amazed of how the host of that YouTube show who talks about all the kills from horror movies also made a cameo in the last film and is proud of the fact that he even talked to the people on set of that film, and I personally would congratulate him actually being part of one of the best slasher film franchises. It's something I missed in the last film, but I'm happy to point it out here. So what did you think of Scream 6? Did you see it? Do you plan to see it even with the minor spoilers? Sure, it's the first one without Sydney, but I think that the new cast can take on the next one just fine. If that is possible. Anyway, good night and don't answer if Ghostface appears at your door or answers your phone. 8/10. The first thing I have to say is, way to keep it fresh while also staying true to the series. They go in a few new directions that seem risky but pay off. And they continue to weave into the lore with tons more references to the previous movies. Some will be missed unless you've seen them recently. As for the slasher-ness, we know by now that this franchise is at the top of the food chain. They continue with the increased brutality and carnage candy that we saw in Scream 5. My jaw dropped numerous times. The story and mystery are intriguing as usual. I was constantly engaged and frequently smiling. After being blown away by Scream 5, I feel like this is a step below. I'm not gushing about it the way I did 5, and it has a few flaws. But I still really enjoyed it and will definitely be rewatching every time I revisit the franchise. And I definitely look forward to future chapters. One viewing, opening Thursday Ultrascreen the 9th of March 2023. Scream is, to me, the best slasher that has been created. I am a big fan of the movies, I've seen them all and gotta say that the people behind the franchise managed to maintain the quality in each of them, in terms of slashers movies. Scream 6 had everything to be on the top. This Ghostface is, probably, the best one in the entire franchise. Strong, very violent, probably the most, and the mask. The mask fits so well. The tension was very well managed too when our protagonists had to face him. I like the fact that we can see more of the human side of Tara and Sam, trying to live with the psychological damage after the events of the previous film. Then, it all goes down at the end of the movie. I am going to say just one thing, and let you think about it. Come on, are they superhumans? Why? How? Don't wanna reveal any details, but seriously, that ending. Just no. I just hope for the love of God. Don't screw it up, and if you ask me if I wanna see Ghostface again in the near future, I would say, no, because I know what's going to happen. Yay, I am really happy with this sequel to a prequel, it delivers. Scream 6 does what the second wanted to achieve and drives it another 100 yards better. Ghostface arrives at the Big Apple, we get a really cool opening, this Ghostface is out to kill hard with no mercy. The plot is simple, survive. The gore is good, nothing crazy but solid, the kills are also really good, creative and not just a stab. The chase scenes are also good, my highlights are the supermarket, the 2 apartments. I don't want to name them in case it's taken as a spoiler, The standouts are ghost faces, much creepier when chasing out characters. Gale is also great, Sam and Tara are solid. The other supporting cast have good comedic timing, and of course it wouldn't Scream without being self-aware, and it was done well early on. Having Kirby back was also really good, she has good chemistry with the characters. Overall I am very happy with it. I don't think anything will top the first because it's so iconic, but this is easy number 2 for me. The movie sucks. I saw it in a theater of 8 people and 3 walked out. My girlfriend was able to guess the killer on her first try. The killer's motivation was absolutely crap. I can't believe this was made by the original creator. Nothing in this movie made sense. How is someone going to get stabbed multiple times in the lungs and live? How is someone getting stabbed in the back of the throat and living through the knife being twisted? Attacking people in a full convenience store and getting away was the stupidest thing ever. Scream is dead. The TV show was better than 5 and 6. I'm glad I saw this on a $5 ticket day. It was surprisingly good, it had potential, I give you that. It was smart given a new environment as New York. New York City brings up movies just being in the city that never sleeps. It's a very special place. I just think this movie would have stepped up if Gale and Kirby would have been seen more in the movie. As they are a part of the originals. I know they are older, but they are still favorites in the eyes of fans. Same goes to the movie Scream 5. Gale and Sydney should have been more visible in the movie. That's why Scream 5 was not as good a movie as it could have been. This movie was really good. More Gale and more Kirby. Sydney needs to be back in future movies. And more visible. They should also consider bringing back Stu as the killer or one of the killers. It would bring up the movie up to the sky. Stay in New York. Show the city more in the movies. Next movie would be a masterpiece if they listen to the fans. Give what the fans want.